This is the point where the rubber meets the road, where we've got to take our real life experiences and translate and transform them into gifts, wisdom, offerings back to other people. All right, this one's for all the frauds, the fakers, and the phonies out there. I know you know who you are. If you're out there and you're feeling like a fake at times, like you don't have the credentials to do what you're giving out there in the world, you're waiting for somebody to give you a certificate that says, I hereby deem you worthy of teaching or doing or giving from this thing that you have. If that's you, then listen up for a second, because that's me too. In leadership, every single one of us at some point in time feels like a fake or a phony for some reason or another. And I think it has something to do with this model that we've been raised in, where it's drilled into our mindset that we have to go through some sort of training course, we have to go through some sort of credentialing program in order to certify ourselves worthy of giving that thing that we've got. But I'm here to tell you that I think that's a whole load of bullshit. I don't think that there are credentialing certification services for the gifts and the medicine that we all have. Now, I'm not going to tell you that going to college or going to some sort of training program to do what you do in the world is not a good idea. I'm just here to say that when you really boil it down, when you really look at what prepares you to give something of value to someone else, it's not the hours that you spent reading a book. It's not the time that you spent studying for a test. It's the actual hands-on, in-person experience you get from doing that thing, from going through it yourself, and then giving from what you've received through your own experience. Now, I want to tell you a story, because every once in a while when I'm invited to be a guest on a podcast, or I'm invited to be a guest on a Facebook Live or someone else's platform, inevitably, someone will ask me how I became a coach or a mentor or a rites of passage guide. And 100% of the time, the answer is not, I went to school for it. In leadership, I didn't go to any kind of school to learn how to become a better leader. When people ask me that question, I say, listen, I learned in the school of life. I learned by sitting on a men's team for 10 years. I learned by being in spaces where my leadership is challenged, and then reflecting on the way that I show up and making adjustments to that over and over and over again. For people who come to me to learn how to become a better leader, people who come to me because they want to be initiated into another stage of their life, it's not because I went to school for any of this stuff. It's because I sought out people who could teach me things that I didn't yet know. And I spent the time learning, and I put myself through all of the same processes that I ask other people to go through, because having done that, I know what it takes to make it through that. And I know what it feels like to be in that experience. So for every one of you guys who has something to give, regardless of whether it's yoga or mental health oriented type of work or personal life coaching or financial advice, 9 times out of 10, or 99 times out of 100, or 999 times out of 1,000, your experience in your life is going to be more valuable to that person than something you could have read in a book or listened to in a podcast. This is the point where the rubber meets the road, where we've got to take our real life experiences and translate and transform them into gifts, wisdom, offerings back to other people. And I'm recording this specific episode of the podcast right now because I know there's a lot of you guys out there who are just waiting in the wings. I talk to you guys on the phone. I see you guys inside the Rising Man Fire Circles. I see you guys typing in the comments and having direct message chats with me, talking about how badly you want to do this thing that you are passionate about. But inevitably, there's something holding you back. And 100% of the time, at some point, we all have this belief that I'm not blank enough for this thing I want to do. I'm not ready. I'm not credentialed. I'm not certified. I don't have enough experience, whatever that is. When I was first learning capoeira, which is a Brazilian martial art, something I've been doing for the past 7 years, I was gung-ho about it. I wanted to get into the martial arts, and I wanted to learn from the best. And I found a school in New York where I was living at the time with an amazing instructor named Mestre Umbrinho. And he is this amazing New York Jewish guy who was a master in this Brazilian martial art. And he brought this level of mindfulness and attention to our movements that I hadn't seen or experienced anywhere else. So from the moment I took my first class with him, I went to class every single day, 7 days a week for 4 months. And by the end of it, I was getting ready to move to California, and the last class that I had, they did a really beautiful send-off for me, really honored me for the commitment that I had in that short period of time I was there. And I'll never forget that Mestre came up to me and he said, "You're a teacher." I said, "What?" I was 25 years old at the time. And he said, "You're a teacher." I said, "Well, Mestre, I've only been here for a few months." He's like, I'm not saying you're a master, but I'm saying that you're a teacher. So don't go wait to become a master to start teaching. And I stopped for a second. I said, well, that goes against everything I ever thought. I thought I always needed to get to a certain point before I could give back. And he said, no, don't wait to do that. If you're a teacher, if you have it in you to give something back to people, teach what you know, is what he told me. He said, teach from what you know, from what you already understand, teach from what you know to the best of your ability, and seek people to teach who know less than you. Because that's what creates this chain of wisdom that we pass on through the generations. It was such a brilliantly simple piece of advice that I've never forgotten, because it's carried me through on my journey into the men's empowerment space, into the leadership space, into fatherhood and marriage and all the other areas of my life that when I first started, I knew absolutely nothing. But over the years, learning from my experiences and what I've witnessed in other people, it's given me a well of information, a well of stories and resources that I can give back to other people that can be really beneficial. I won't call myself a master in any one category, but I am very experienced and very capable in the things that I know how to do that I've been doing for a while. I don't have a degree. No one's ever certified me or ordained me as a men's empowerment coach, but that's what I know how to do. Nobody's ever told me that now you're ready to go out and teach men how to be leaders. I just started doing it. Teaching from what I know. So if you're sitting on the sidelines right now and you're listening to this and you're like, oh man, thank you, Jetty, because I just needed to hear that. I needed to have someone tell me not to wait around to become a certain level of credentialed, a certain level of experience. I could just work with what I've already got in here. Go out and do that. Don't hold back that gift from the world because you're afraid that you're going to be discovered as a fraud someday. But also keep yourself in check. Don't overstep those bounds. Don't start teaching and proselytizing stuff to people that you don't know about, because that's irresponsible. But the things that you do know, the things that you do have experience in, that you can speak to, that you can give back to other people, don't wait. Don't wait, because we need that part of you. So get off your butt and get out there and start serving from what you know. All right, if you're loving what we're dropping here on the Rising Man podcast and you digging what the videos are showing on the Rising Man YouTube channel, please hit that subscribe button. Go over to risingman.org and get yourself signed up for our virtual men's fire circles today and become a bigger part of the Rising Man community. Later.
Rise up and claim your destiny.